Hi, this is Kara. Welcome to Breaking Free Fridays, or welcome back if you've been following the series. It's really great to have you here. And tonight I was inspired to talk about acceptance as a bridge to freedom. And one of the things that just to kind of set the foundation with this, acceptance is not referring to settling for something or accepting something that is not acceptable in your life, like something that violates your boundaries or anything like that. But what I am talking about is in our inner work journeys, how important and critical acceptance is in moving forward, and almost like a springboard for momentum for forward progress. And, acceptance is one of those things that is very much intertwined with surrender and letting go. Often it's connected to a piece of forgiveness as we go through different points of healing in our journeys. And one of the other things that's really interesting about acceptance is that we might find that we think we're accepting of something just by knowing it. And from an intellectual standpoint or logic standpoint, we realize, yes, this is happening or this happened. And yet we can find that sometimes there's a disconnect where that doesn't land. And from an embodied standpoint, there's not peace about a particular situation. And generally speaking, these kinds of things are often connected to when we're trying to control something that's outside of our control. And I'll just give a couple of examples that might be helpful as you're digesting this information and seeing how it applies in your life and your journey. For example, when my kids were really small, I had to make a very difficult choice to just in preserving the safety of for my kids and myself, and also in supporting the healthiest possible dynamic. I had to make a decision to divorce the love of my life and my high school sweetheart at that I had spent many years with. He ended up in a really compromised situation with alcoholism and addiction, and so in his journey at that time, after many attempts to gain sobriety, he was just falling deeper into a hole. And so to keep my kids and I in a safe place and in a healthier trajectory, it meant dismantling what I had envisioned for my family, and what that would look like, and having a partner and a parent in that process and a whole family. And it was a process to come to acceptance. And sometimes, you can think you've landed completely in a place of acceptance and peace. And as you go through your journey, there might be little inklings that tug, and and just little reminders of another invitation to kind of even deepen acceptance further. So that's one example that you might be able to relate to. Or another one, I have a friend who has been dealing with diabetes, and he had gotten to a situation where, in spite of so many efforts in terms of just his own health management and eating really healthy and staying active and just doing a lot within his own circle of control to maintain healthy blood sugars, it just wasn't getting there. And so, it was an opportunity to accept that part of that health and well-being picture needed to include the additional support of a medicine and really allowing that in. And so, that's another example. Another one, my daughter, when she was in high school, she started going to high school at a high school that was across town for a particular program, and then realized that wasn't the best fit. And we had a certain arrangement set up in terms of, what it meant expectation wise for her to keep going to that school. And if that wasn't something that she was willing to do in terms of her own commitment, then we would just switch closer to the neighborhood school. And she got to a place where she ended up making choices that had her not meeting those expectations and requirements that we had agreed on. And so I switched her. And at the time, initially, she felt devastated, and she felt extremely upset, and thought her whole world was caving in. And yet, over time, she came to really love where she landed, and is so grateful that she ultimately had that experience and ended up graduating high school from where she did, and that was closer to home, and could see the gift in how that actually transpired and came to acceptance over time. So part of what you might be hearing just across these different examples is one of the biggest things is to give yourself grace for your own unique process, and the time that you need to come to acceptance, because it's not necessarily like the snap of your fingers. It can take, different pieces of healing, different, aha moments, awareness, levels that you come to, different pieces of healing. In many cases, there might be a forgiveness component, and it's also about surrendering. And I find it to be incredibly helpful to lean in. For me, I believe very much in God, and however that resonates for you, if it's universe, the cosmos, divinity, Allah, however it resonates for you. But just knowing that there is a higher power, that, for me, an all loving, all knowing, all powerful, incredible creator, and that there is something so much bigger at play, and having trust in things always being okay. Life is always working out for us. And even if we can't see it in the moment, having that trust that higher perspective is there to be uncovered at some point, and that the gift is there. And as we traverse our journeys, that we're coming to a place where we drop the resistance. Because if we don't reach acceptance of what is, and we're resisting what is, then we're blocking ourselves from so much in terms of the gifts and the joy and the fun in life. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Share in the comments, what's landing, what you found in your own journeys around acceptance and moving through that piece of your own inner work. If you're enjoying these videos, please share them. and send a like, subscribe. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful next week. And here is to your next level of empowerment and breaking free, and finding that next level of acceptance and letting go and surrender into a place of greater and deeper peace. Okay, bye for now.